Put your mute your phones, turn your ringers off. Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 4. Hear, O Yisrael, Yahuwah Elohim, Yahuwah is one. Shema Yisrael, Shema Yisrael. Yahuwah Eloheinu, Yahuwah Echad. Shemot, or Exodus chapter 20 and verse 4. Verse 3. We will have no other mighty ones against the Most High. We will not make any carved image or any likeness. That which is in Shamayim above, or which is in the earth beneath, or which is in the waters under the earth. We will not bow down to them, nor serve them. For Yahuwah Elohim is a jealous devil, visiting the wicked of the fathers on the children, to the third and fourth generation, those who hate him, but showing kindness to thousands of those who love him and keep his commandments. We will not bring the name of Yahuwah Elohim to nothing. For Yahuwah will not leave us unpunished. Who brings his name to nothing. We will remember the Shabbat day. To keep it Kodesh. 6 days we labor and do all our work. But the seventh day is Shabbat. Yahuwah El. 46 days. Yahuwah makes Shamayim and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them. And he rested the seventh day. Therefore, Yahuwah Barak the Shabbat day. We will respect our fathers and our mothers, so that our days will be long upon the earth. We will not murder. We will not commit adultery. We will not steal. We will not bear false witness against our neighbor. We will not covet anything that is our neighbor. Father, Yah, we give thanks for this day, Father, this set apart day to be edified according to your word, Father. We pray that your Ruach will be with us on this day, Father, that you would give understanding unto the hearer, Father, and utterance unto the speaker, Father, according to your Ruach, Father. That you would uplift us, Father, open the minds and the hearts of your people to receive your word. Open the mouth of your people, Father, to give your word, Father. Uninhibited, Father, right as it is written, Father. Father, we pray for those souls who are in this room. And we pray for those who may be still in transit and those watching, Father, that you would just continue to increase each and every person, Father, that measure of faith, Father, that you have stored up for them. Father, these and all these things we pray. Hashem Yehovah, Mikaya, Oshua, Hamashiach, Waka, Godesh, so be it. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Praise God, everybody. You came to edify the Most High today, right?
Hallelujah.
So what we want everybody to do, I'm going to teach a brand new song. So I want y'all to open up and let y'all use you as we sing the song together. Okay? Now, the whole bridge and everybody sing together is going to be like this. This is what everybody's going to sing. Glorify your name. Glorify your name. Glorify your name. Glorify your name. Okay? Glorify your name. 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 Now when I bring y'all in, I want y'all to sing that. All right? Sound like everybody's trying to sing. That's great. Glorify your name. We bow down and worship your name. We glorify and praise your goodness name. We praise your name today. Today, we bow down and worship your name. Today, we glorify your goodness name. We praise your holy name today. That's it. We come to praise your name. We magnify and praise your holy name. Today. We bow down and praise your name. We magnify and praise your name. Yeah. We praise your holy name today. Glorify your name. Glorify your name. Glorify your name. Glorify, yeah. Glorify your name. Let's keep singing it. Lord, I'll take me. Glorify your name. Glorify your name. Glorify your name. Somebody, you know that. Glorify your name. 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 Glorify All right.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Dope song. Dope song. I ain't gonna use that word. It's my word.
Making it over. Oh. Shabbat shalom. How's everybody? Do we have, I know I've seen, is there anybody visiting for the first time?
Henry.
If you sisters wouldn't mind standing up and introducing yourself. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Did somebody close that back door back? Thank you. It don't matter, you know, no particular order. Introduce yourself, brother.
Leon.
Leon. Who invited you out, Leon? Your grandma? Is your grandma? How are you?
My name is Jackie.
Jackie. Who invited you out, Sister Jackie? Yeah.
I wanted to out all along.
Okay.
For a long time because I see a lot of the brothers on the internet.
Okay, okay.
And then my friend here told me that she belongs. So I'm going to maybe I'll come and enjoy the service.
Okay. Wonderful.
Hey.
Welcome. Sister. I'm sorry, Olivia? Okay. Who invited you out, sister?
Hold it down, y'all.
I'm sorry? You can't hear me? Okay.
Welcome.
Giant? Okay, and this, are you some kin to Sister Olivia? Okay. You sure? Okay. All right. Well, welcome to all you sisters and you two brother Leon. We do have service here every Sabbath. Can we keep the noise down, y'all? We do have service here every Sabbath. Feel more than welcome to come out and have class with us every week. We have a gathering coming up here next week, the whole weekend. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we will be gathering. Friday we'll be here. Saturday we'll be at the Quality Inn in Livonia on Plymouth, off of Middle Belt, and then on Sunday we'll be at Lower Huron Park. So we're gonna it should be a good event. Hebrews coming into town from all over the place, and we're just gonna have a good time in fellowship. So feel welcome to come out and enjoy that too. Just want you to know you're amongst family. If you have any questions, we ask that you do hold them to the end, unless it's something quick that we can just go through real quick. Otherwise, just kind of jot it down and hold it to the end, and it'll get answered. And thank you for coming and welcome. Okay. How's everybody today?
Great.
Good. So, I got a little interaction for y'all, right? Little interaction. So, when somebody going through a little bit of a turmoil, right? And most people would meet them. Most people who deal with the Bible, right? They meet them with that it's gonna be okay, right? Words of comfort, but they'll tell you something like, "You're gonna make it. You're gonna get through it because God won't do what?
Put more on you.
He won't put more on you than you can handle, right?" Anybody ever heard that before? Do anybody believe that to be the truth? Believe that? You talk different? Somebody talk different? Okay, just a refresh. But so the reason why I even wanted to touch on this topic was because just recently, like I was dealing with some issues, right? Some personal issues, and it was becoming very overwhelming. And that just happened to cross through my head, like, you know, the Most High ain't gonna put more on me. You know, I'm gonna be okay. The Most High ain't gonna put more on me than I can handle. But I have to think about it like, that ain't really the truth. Like, it's kind of the exact opposite. Like, he will. So I started looking into it and started studying it here. Right now, I wonder, like, where do people get that from? That the Most High won't put more on you than you can handle. Anybody know where that come from? What scripture? Any scripture? Did you say scripture? Oh, the church. But it does come from the text. It comes from the book. But it's not the entire thing, right? It's read partially. So let's go there. Let's go 1 Corinthians 10 and 13. First Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 13.
1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 13. They have no temptation taking you, but such as is common to man.
So that's fairly understandable, right? There's no temptation or there's no trial or no test that you're gonna come across that's not common to all men, right? Ain't nothing new that kind of go hand in hand with ain't nothing new under the sun. You ain't dealing with nothing that other people haven't dealt with in the past, so to speak. Go ahead.
But Elohim is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that you are able.
So that's where it comes from, right? Because the Most High won't test you or give you trials with something that you're not able to handle. And that's where we stop it, right? So for argument's sake, we're going to stop right there. But now, we're going to come back and revisit that. Let's go 2 Corinthians chapter 1. 2 Corinthians chapter 1 at verse 8.
2 Corinthians chapter 1 at verse 8. For we would not, brethren, have you ignorant of our trouble, which has come to us in Asia, that we were pressed out of measure.
That we were pressed out of measure. Anybody understand what that's saying? Pressed, meaning pressure. Out of measure. We were pressured beyond measure when they were in Asia, right? Continue.
That we were pressed out of measure, above strength.
Above strength, meaning more than we could sustain. It was more pressure than we could handle. Go ahead.
In so much that we desired even of life.
That we despaired.
That we despaired even of life.
So it was so much pressure that they couldn't handle that they was ready to die. That's kind kind of the exact opposite. That means it was more put on them than if they could handle. And so, like, just reading through this, like going through this topic, and I'm like, let me see. Is that Paul talking? Let me see if it's just Paul. This is something just that's exclusive to Paul, or is this a principle that I can find something in the law, right? So let's go Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 45.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, at verse 45. Go ahead. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon you.
So this is, we understand this is the Deuteronomy 28 that we all should be very familiar with at this point, right? About the blessings and the curses, so to speak. So we say, moreover, all these curses shall come upon you. Go ahead.
And shall pursue you.
And shall pursue you, which means where you go, they're going to follow. They are going to pursue you, these curses. Go ahead.
And overtake you.
And do what?
And overtake you.
And overtake you. If something overtakes you, that means that you are unable to what?
Yeah.
You can't handle it. You can't control it. If you are overtaken by something, that means that it's something that you can't particularly control. Right? Yeah. So if the curses that the Most High was going to send was going to overtake you, that's kind of something that we would be unable to handle as well. And these are sent. These curses were sent by the Most High himself, right? Let's go Exodus 18, verse 5.
Exodus or Shemot chapter 18 and verse 5. And Jethro, Moshe's father-in-law, came with his sons and his wife unto Moshe in the wilderness, where he encamped at the mount of Elohim.
Okay, so Jethro came to Moses, right? Verse 13.
And it came to pass on the morrow that Moshe sat to judge the people, and the people stood by Moshe from the morning until the evening.
Okay, so all the people came to Moses, right? For Moses to judge. When they say judge, just judge between matters, right? There was some issues, some matters that were going on, and Moses was the judge. And it said that he judged the people all day and all night, right? So that was... Okay, continue.
And when Moshe's father-in-law saw all that he had did to the people, he said, "What is this thing that you do to the people?"
So when Jethro saw Moses judging these people all day and all night, he was like, "Man, what are you doing to yourself?" Right? Like, what is it you doing to these people and to yourself? Go ahead.
Why sit you yourself alone, and all the people stand by you from morning unto evening? And Moshe said unto his father-in-law, because the people came unto me to inquire of Elohim. When they have a matter, they come to me, and I judge between one another, and I do make them know the statutes of Elohim and his law. And Moshe's father-in-law said unto him, the thing that you do is not good.
So is he telling him that him teaching the people the statutes and the laws of the Most High is not good?
No.
Clearly, right? Clearly, that's not what he's saying. But let's continue. Read.
You shall surely wear away.
You shall surely wear. If you continue, if you keep this up, you're going to wear yourself out. Go ahead.
Both you and this people that's with you. For this thing is too heavy for you. You are not able to perform it yourself alone.
This thing that you're doing is too much for you. You ain't going to be able to do it by yourself. Go ahead.
Listen now unto my voice. I'll give you counsel, and Elohim shall be with you. Be you for the people to Godward, that you may bring the cause unto Elohim. And you shall teach them ordinances and laws, and shall show them the way therein they must walk, and the work that they must do. Moreover, you shall provide out of all the people able men, such as fear Elohim, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them to be rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10s.
So he told them, it's too much for you. Find you some able men, men who are righteous. In so many words, to help judge between the people. So we want men that's over the thousands, men that's over the hundreds, men that's over the tens. So not just you, not just people that's under you, that's over them, but they're going to have people under them, and they're going to have people under them to the point where they're broken down in the companies of 10, right? That's how, but at first, Moses was doing all this stuff on his own. And for him, and for Jethro to see that he had to be weary, he had to be wore out after a whole day of judging all day long. And I'm sure it was the next day it was going to happen again, right? And the next day it was going to happen. Go ahead.
If you shall do this thing, verse 22, and let them judge the people at all seasons, and it shall be that every great matter they shall bring to you, but every small matter they shall judge. So shall it be easier for yourself, and they shall bear the burden with you.
And they shall do what?
Bear the burden with you.
So you don't have to bear this burden alone. These men are going to judge the small matters, and they'll bring the weightier matters to you, because you can't do it by yourself. The understanding that the Most High will not, that he ain't gonna put more on you than you can bear, is just flat out not the truth. Point blank period. And it's a reason why. It's a reason why we're going to get to it. Let's go Numbers 11. Because I know what some of y'all thinking. That's just Jethro talking. That's just Jethro talking. What do he know, right? Let's go Numbers 11 and 1.
Numbers chapter 11 and verse 1. And when the people complained,
did what?
And when the people complained,
like people do. Go ahead.
It displeased Yahuwah.
Okay.
And Yahuwah heard it, and his anger was kindled, and the fire of Yahuwah burnt among them, and consumed them, that they were in the uttermost parts of the camp.
Okay, so the fire, so Yah's consuming fire burnt among them and consumed them. He was so upset. Verse 10.
Verse 10. Then Moshe heard the people weep throughout their families, every man in the door of his tent, and the anger of Yahuwah was kindled greatly. Moshe also was displeased.
So when he heard the people complaining, it upset the Most High and Moses as well. Let's hear what Moses said. Go ahead.
And Moshe said unto Yahuwah, wherefore have you afflicted your servants?
Moshe said unto Yah, like, why did you afflict me? Go ahead.
And wherefore have I not found favor in your sight?
What did I do to you that you put this affliction on me? That you put this affliction on me? Now, who was it that chose Moses to lead? God. The Most High, right? So the Most High directly placed this burden on Moses. The burden of the people, to lead the people, right? To the point where when these people was complaining, the Most High was ticked off. But it also displeased Moses to the point where Moses went to the Most High like, what did I do to deserve this? Go ahead.
That you lay the burden of all this people upon me. Have I conceived all this people?
Is these my kids? Go ahead.
Have I begotten them? That you should say unto me, carry them in your bosom? As a nursing father bears a suckling child unto the land which you swear to their fathers?
Did I have these kids? Is these my kids? To the point where I got to take care of them? What did I do to deserve this? Verse 14.
I am not able to bear all this people alone.
Say it again.
I am not able to bear all this people alone.
Moses flat out told the Most High, it's too much for me to bear. I'm not able to do it. This burden of these people is too much for me. Go ahead.
Because it's too heavy for me.
It's too what?
It's too heavy for me.
So the Most High actually put more on him than he could bear, right? Go ahead.
And if you deal thus with me, yeah. I couldn't even say it wrong. If you deal thus with me, kill me.
And if it's got to be like this, just kill me now. He was ready to die. It was so much of a burden. Same thing, like, so this wasn't just Paul. What we read in 2 Corinthians, it wasn't just Paul. Where he was like, it was so much pressure that they wanted to die. So it wasn't just him. Moses dealt with it too. Pressure, being pressured. When he had to lead the children of Israel through the wilderness, he like, man, if this is the way you're gonna deal with me, just kill me now. Go ahead.
I pray you out of hand. If I have found favor in your sight, and let me not see my wretched.
So if I have favor in your sight, just kill me. Like, where have you seen that? Well, somebody asked the Most High, like, yo, if I'm doing the right thing, just kill me. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's so much. If I'm doing the right thing, just kill me. I'm through. I can't do it no more. Go ahead.
And Yahuwah said unto Moshe, gather unto me 70 men of the elders of Israel, whom you know to be the elders of the people, and officers over them, and bring them unto the tabernacle of the congregation, that they may stand there with you. And I will come down and talk with you there. And I will take of the Ruach which is upon you, and will put it upon them.
So I'm going to take the Ruach that's upon you, my set apart Ruach, and put upon these men that you bring to me. These men that you know that are fit to lead, right? Go ahead.
And they shall bear the burden of the people with you.
And they shall do what?
Bear the burden of the people with you. That you bear it not yourself alone.
That you bear it not yourself alone. So there's a principle there, right? Do anybody see the principle that's there? Anybody else besides Trash and Quad and David? Y'all the only ones that did. Now, anybody do it? Do y'all see the principle? If anybody doesn't see it, what do you think the principle is that we just read? What's the principle behind what we just read? Anybody? Share the work. But not just that. It ain't just share the work. Not just that. But as far as the burden being too heavy for Moses to carry along, what did he do? He did what?
Somebody got to say it loud.
Yeah, got to say it loud.
Say it loud.
Confidence.
Say what? What did he do first? When he found that it was too much for him, what was the first thing he did? He went to the Most High. The first thing he did when the burden got too heavy was went to the Most High. He didn't take upon himself and say, you know what? I got this. Y'all gonna help. No, he went and sought wisdom from the Most High. That was the very first thing he did. So that's the principle behind it. The Most High will put on you more than you can handle. But the principle behind it is when it happens, when you're overwhelmed, when you're overtaken by the burden, seek the Most High. Don't fall back. Because that's most people's rationale. Right? It's too much. I'm just gonna fall back. Guilty. That's not what the Most High wants you to do. That's not what the book teaches us to do. When it's too heavy of a burden for you to bear, when it's too much for you to handle, the worst thing you're gonna do is fall back. The thing that you have to learn how to do is seek the Most High first. So let's go back and revisit that 1 Corinthians 10 and 13.
You got something. I got something.
10 and 13. The very first scripture we read.
1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. There have no temptation taking you, but such as is common to man.
So what we already went through. There's nothing that you're going to deal with that is not common amongst men. We done all dealt with it, right? So the loss of a loved one, we done all dealt with it. You know what I mean? The losing a job, losing things like we done dealt with it. You know what I'm saying? Breakups, heartache, all this stuff we done dealt. It's common, right? So it's nothing that you're gonna come across that's not common amongst men. Go ahead.
But Elohim is faithful.
It's what?
It's faithful.
Uh-huh.
Who will not suffer you to be tempted above that you are able.
So the Most High ain't gonna put more on you than you can bear? Nah. He will put more on you than you can bear. We already have seen that. But let's read the latter part of this verse, which bring it into, like, make sense, right? Let's make this make sense. Go ahead.
But will with the temptation also make a way to escape.
But with the temptation that he put on you, but with the trial, the test that he put on you, he is also going to make the way. He is going to make the way, right? Go ahead.
Make a way to escape that you may be able to bear it.
That's the only way you're going to be able to bear it, is if you seek the Most High. So you're going to be burdened with things in life. Life is going to happen, right? It's happening every day all around us. You're going to be burdened. Don't ever think it ain't going to happen. Don't ever throw them personal pity parties where you, oh, woe is me. Oh, I can't believe this. It's nothing that you're going to go through that ain't common. We done been through it. The thing you have to do is seek the Most High, because he is the only thing that is going to allow you the strength to bear it. Period. Right? 2 Corinthians chapter 1 and verse 8. And let's see, let's read out what happened when Paul and his people was faced with all that pressure in Asia, to the point where they wanted to die.
2 Corinthians chapter 1 verse 8. For we would not, brethren, have you ignorant of our trouble which came to us in Asia, that we were pressed out of measure, above strength, in so much that we despaired even of life.
Start right there. So I'm going to read that same verse out of the Hallelujah, right? It says, for we do not want you to be ignorant, brothers, for our pressure which came to us in Asia, that we were weighed down exceedingly beyond ability, so that we despaired even of life. It was too much pressure for us to handle, to the point where we was ready to die. Same thing like Moses, right? Like, I can't handle all this pressure. These people getting on my nerves. Just kill me now. Right? Let's continue reading. Verse 9.
But we had the sentence of death in ourselves, and we should not trust in ourselves, but in Elohim, which raised the dead.
So the sentence of death was in ourselves. We was ready to die because of the pressure, but we shouldn't trust in ourselves. The trust should be in the Most High when you're dealing with this stuff. This is like the true measure of faith, right? Like, it's cool to wear fringes, and it's cool to rock your head, and it's cool to, shalom and embrace and all that. All that is cool. But when the true test of faith comes, well, you got to exercise that faith that you really, do you really believe this book, right? Do you really believe, like, when we come, it's cool, like, all this stuff is cool. It's cool to go through the motions and make it seem like, yeah, but when you truly test it, when your faith is truly tested, what you going to do? You going to fall, or you going to stand up, right? Because your trust got to be in the Most High. And most people, if you're not really walking and meditating in His Word for real, when tests and trials come up, the thing that's going to come out of you is the thing that's most prevalent in you. You know what I'm saying? And if this Word is not what's most prevalent in you, when you face with these trials, then the Word ain't gonna come out. If the world is in you more than the Word, then when you test it, the world is gonna come out of you, right? When somebody tests you, as far as testing, like you testing your patience, right? Saying something to you that you clearly don't like, that would agitate most people, and your reaction is, oh. Rather than,
touch a neighbor if you still got it.
But it's just like, I use this example before. It's just like this water bottle, right? This bottle, this plastic bottle, right? This bottle is filled with water, right? So if you put it under pressure, what's gonna come out of it? Water gonna come gushing out of it because it's filled with water. If you are filled with nonsense and you be put under pressure, what's gonna come out of you? Blank period. Nonsense, right? But if you fill with the ruach,
go ahead, preach.
And you fill with this word, right? And you get pressured. The principles that we've been teaching, the principles that you've been studying, the biblical principles that you've been learning throughout this law, once you're pressured, your reaction will be what's in the law. What? Huh? Right. So the protocol is what? When the burden comes, the protocol is the first what? Seek the Most High. Period. That's the protocol. First things first, seek the Most High. And it's gonna come. The understanding of what to do will come. But even if it's a situation that happens, sometimes things happen in the spur of the moment, right? And how a person reacts is directly related to, like I said, what's inside, right? And if you know you, right? Every man examine himself. We know ourselves better than anybody. At least you should. And you're to the point where somebody is testing your patience or trying you, or you have to maintain this, or it really ain't in you, right? It's just the truth. If when the stuff happened and this don't come out of you, then I mean it really ain't in you. And you got to be aware of that more than anybody, and check yourself. Like, wow, I know I shouldn't have reacted that way, right? But it's completely up to you, right?
So man, I lost my religion.
Right? Yeah, exactly. But that's true. You lost it. Period. Let's go back to that 2 Corinthians 1, verse 10. Let's read verse 9, then 10 again.
2 Corinthians chapter 1 and verse 9. For we had the sentence of death in ourselves, that we should not trust in ourselves, but in Elohim.
That we should not trust in ourselves, but Yah, go ahead.
Who raised the dead, who delivered us from so great a death, and do deliver, in whom we trust, and he will yet deliver us.
And we trust that he will yet deliver us. So clearly, they didn't die when they was being faced with this pressure, right? Because he wrote this afterwards, right? Let's go Matthew 11 and verse 28. Matthew chapter 11 and verse 28.
Grab a chair.
The book of Matthew, chapter 11, at verse 28. Come unto me, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest.
Matthew 11 and 28. This is the Shia.
Matthew chapter 11 at verse 28. Come unto me, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest unto your soul. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light.
So, the Shiach's exact words are, come to me, those who are burdened, because my yoke is light. And what do you say? My burden is light. My yoke is easy. 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 6. 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 6.
1 Peter chapter 5 at verse 6. Humble yourselves.
What?
Humble yourselves.
Okay, so in order to, I guess, submit yourself into the Most High, right? And it takes a sense of humility, right? Even for submission, it takes some type of humility. So first things first, you must humble yourself and not think so highly of yourself that you can control things that are above your control. Sometimes you have to just realize that certain things are out of your control and you can't control everything, and just let it go. Let go and let go. But you just gotta let it go and let the Most High do his thing, right? Some things are beyond your control. I remember, I don't go into exact details, but I remember I was in this situation, right? And some things were happening, and as they were happening, it was like I could feel this steam coming up, right? I was angry, like, but I couldn't say. I was in a position where I couldn't really say nothing because I was on Front Street. You know what I'm saying? Like in front of a bunch of people. So I couldn't really say nothing. Couldn't stop it. I couldn't do nothing. And I was standing there with my old pastor, and he leaned in and he said, "Let it go. You're powerless. It's nothing. It ain't nothing you can do. So just let it go."
Who said that?
My old pastor.
Oh, okay.
But it was real talk. He just leaned in and told me, like, let it go. And sometimes, you gotta do that. Like when you can't control a situation and you realize it's out of your control, and the more you try to control it, the worse it gets. Just let it go. Just let it go. Just let it go and what I'm saying? Just let it go. And that was bad. I'm trying to tell y'all. Some stuff happened just recently, and that was just like, normally I'd be like, nah, look, I was just like, whatever, man. Y'all just do what y'all want to do. I'll pick up the pieces afterward. Y'all just do what y'all want to do. Yeah, look, I just let it go because I know I couldn't control. I could no longer control it. I have been controlling this situation for so long, and I knew I could no longer control it. I just let it go and just let it play out, trying to prevent certain things from happening. Just let whatever. At this point, whatever. Just let it go. It's beyond my control, right? Verse 7.
Casting all your care upon him.
Doing what?
Casting all your care upon him. For he cared for you.
But because the Most High cared for you. So humble yourselves under the mighty hand of Yah, that he may exalt you in due time. Do not lose that in due time, because that refers to patience, right? Humble yourself under the mighty hand of the Most High, that he can exalt you in due time. So submit yourself to the Most High and let him do what he gonna do in due time. Don't just stop right there. Don't go past the in due time. And we're gonna run through some stuff where you're gonna see that in due time part come to fruition, right? John 15 and verse 4.
John or Yehukanah, chapter 15 and verse 4. Abide in me, and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine. No more can you, except you abide in me.
Okay, do y'all understand what that's saying? For those of us who may not understand what it's saying, when it says, like, because it's like, abide in me, abide means live, right? Live in me, and I'm going to live in you, right? Live in me, I'm going to live in you. But the second part of it is what's really key. So it says, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine. No more can you, except you abide in me. So the things that we do, right, is called by the scriptures our fruit, right? Right? our actions. That's why they call fruit in the store the what section? Produce. The things that you produce, right? That's your fruit, right? So he's basically telling you that if you are not connected to me, the things that you produce are not fruitful, right? Your produce is not fruitful if you are not connected to me. Because the branch cannot bear fruit of itself. You must be connected to the vine to bear good fruit. Verse 5.
Verse 5. I am the vine.
He's the vine. Go ahead.
You are the branches.
We are the branches. Go ahead.
He that abide in me.
As long as we abide in the vine or have connection to the vine, go ahead.
And I in him. The same bring forth much fruit.
We will bring forth much fruit. Our produce will be exceeding, right? Go ahead.
For without me, you can do nothing.
Plain and simple. Because without me, you can't do nothing. And we ain't talking about, we understand that you can have possessions, right? We understand that this is not talking about possessions. If possessions are what means something to you, you're kind of in the wrong building, right? But the scripture says nothing for the Most High to make a man rich. Like, it ain't no big deal. So we're talking about riches, other riches, right? Because without me, you can do nothing. Your produce is futile if you are not connected to the vine. So I want to run through this story of Joseph, right? It's like it's spanned over a few chapters, but I want to try to run through it so it's not to take forever. Let's go Genesis chapter 37, verse 2. Because there's some good principles in here dealing with this topic. I know a couple, I believe one principle in particular, I think Quab here at one point in time, I remember him bringing this up, but it was pretty profound. So we're going to touch on a few things. So Genesis 37 and verse 2. We're going to try to get through this. How long is it going, bro? Go ahead.
Bereshit, or Genesis chapter 37 and verse 2. These are the generations of Yaakov. Yosef, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren. And the lad was with the son of Bilhah, and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Yosef brought unto his father their evil report.
So Joseph went back telling his father what his brothers was doing. Go ahead.
Now Israel loved Yosef more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age. And he made him a coat of many colors.
Go ahead.
And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. And Yosef dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. And he said unto them, Here, I pray you.
Read that verse 5 again.
Verse 5. And Yosef dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more.
So they already hated him. We're familiar with this story. That's why I don't want to deal too much. They already hated him. He dreamed a dream. He told them, and they hated him even more. Verse 9.
Verse 9. And he dreamed yet another dream, and told his brethren, and said, Behold, I've dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. And he told it to his father and to his brethren. And his father rebuked him and said to him, What is this dream you done dreamed? Shall I and your mother and your brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to you, to the earth? And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the same.
Now notice that his father rebuked him, but he still observed what he said. And hallelujah, I forget what it said. It's more than observed. It say guard. He guarded the saying. He kept it, exactly. Verse 18.
Verse 18. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. And they said one to another, Behold, here come the dreamer. Come now, therefore, let us slay him and cast him into some pit. And we'll say some evil beast devoured him. And we shall see what has become of his dream. And Reuben heard it. And he delivered him out of their hands and said, let us not kill him.
So they conspired to kill him at first until Reuben stepped in. We familiar. Verse 24.
Verse 24. And they took him and cast him into a pit. And the pit was empty. There was no water in it. And they sat down to eat bread. And they lifted up their eyes and looked. And behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels bearing spicery and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. And Yehuda said unto his brethren, what profit is it if we slay our brother and conceal his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites. Let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh. And his brethren were content. Then they passed by Midianites, merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, and they brought Joseph into Egypt. And Reuben returned unto the pit.
Chapter 39. So when they put him down in this pit, these merchantmen came by and saw him like, yo, they pulled him out the pit and they wound up selling him to the Ishmaelites, right? So the Ishmaelites, we're going to see, took him down and sold him in Egypt, right? Chapter 39, verse 1.
Bereshit, chapter 39, verse 1. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him of the hands of the Ishmaelites, which he had brought him down there. And Yahuwah was with Joseph.
And what?
And Yahuwah was with Joseph.
So Yah was with Joseph. Even him being sold into slavery, Yah was still with him. Go ahead.
And he was a prosperous man. And he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And his master saw that Yahuwah was with him. And Yahuwah made all that he did to prosper in his hand. And Joseph found grace in his sight and served him. And he made him overseer over his house. And all that he had, he put into his hand. It came to pass from that time that he had made him overseer in his house, and of all that he had.
That's good. So we know when he was in Potiphar's house, right? We don't have to read this part where Potiphar's wife tried to get at him, and he was like, "Nah, I'm good," and she basically got him thrown in jail, right? We all familiar? Everybody familiar with that? Chapter 40, verse 6.
Bereshit chapter 40 at verse 6. And Joseph came in unto them in the morning and looked upon them, and behold, they were sad.
My bad. I think I missed something. Let's go back to 39 and go verse 20. Verse 20. Yeah, verse 20.
Bereshit chapter 39 verse 20. And Joseph's master took him and put him in prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in the prison.
So Potiphar took and put Joseph in prison after he thought he was trying to squeeze his wife, right? After his wife lied. He put him in prison. Go ahead.
But Yahuwah was with Joseph.
But what?
But Yahuwah was with Joseph. And he showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison. And whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it.
And so even going to prison, Joseph still had favor in the sight of the Most High, to the point where he was put in charge of the prison. Anything that was done in the prison, Joseph did it, right? Go ahead.
The keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison, and whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it. The keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because Yahuwah was with him, and that which he did, Yahuwah made it to prosper.
Okay, verse 6.
Chapter 40, verse 6. And Joseph came in unto them in the morning, and looked upon them, and behold, they were sad. And he asked Pharaoh's officers that were with him in inward of his master's house, saying, wherefore look you so sadly today?
So when he was in prison, it was two officers of Pharaoh, right? The butler and the baker. was locked up with him. So when he walked in, he said it was looking sad because they was Pharaoh's people, and Pharaoh had locked them up. So he asked him, what's going on? Go ahead.
And they said to him, we have dreamed a dream, and there is no interpreter of it.
Now listen to what Joseph tells him. We dreamed a dream, but we don't got nobody in here to interpret this dream. Listen to what Joseph tells him. Go ahead.
And Joseph said unto them, do not interpretations belong to Elohim?
Don't the interpretation belong to the Most High? So even in this, he's still acknowledging the Most High first, right? He didn't say, I interpret dreams. First thing he said was, don't all these interpretations belong to y'all anyway? Tell me the dream. Go ahead.
And the chief butler told his dream to Yosef and said to him, in my dream, behold.
Verse 12. Don't gotta read the dream.
Verse 12. And Yosef said unto him, this is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up your head and restore you unto your place. And you shall deliver Pharaoh's cup into his hand after the former manner when you was his butler.
Okay, so the butler is going to be restored. Now listen to what Joseph says. I brought this out at one point in time before, but I thought this was very profound. Go ahead.
But think on me.
When you get back to Pharaoh and you give him his cup, do what?
But think on me. When it shall be well with you. Show kindness, I pray you, to me, and make mention of me to Pharaoh. Bring me out of this house.
So when you get back in the position, think about me. You help me out. It was like the first time that you see where Joseph didn't really look to the Most High, right? He asked this butler dude to think about it. And watch what happens. Because he inquired of him rather than inquiring of the Most High first, right? It's not like he still wasn't free. We know Joseph was free, right? Not verse 20. Verse 23. Verse 22.
Verse 22. But he hanged the chief baker as Joseph interpreted to them.
I'm sorry, verse 21.
Verse 21. And he restored the chief butler unto his butlership again.
Just like Joseph had told him. Go ahead.
And he gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand.
So he was back giving the cup to Pharaoh's hand. Go ahead.
But he hanged the chief baker as Joseph had interpreted to them. Yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forgot him.
So the butler forgot all about Joseph. After he was restored, now mind you, he was just put in prison. His man who was put in prison with him, dead. Got hung, dead. The butler got out, and the guy who told him the interpretation of his dream, how he was going to get out and be restored, he completely forgot about it. Just like that. How do you forget this? You know what I'm saying? This dude just told you how you was going to get out, be restored, found him the cup and everything. And you back to doing that, and he just completely forgot about it. So, Joseph remained in prison. Chapter 41, verse 1.
And it came to pass at the end of 2 full years.
So he remained in prison another 2 years after this. After this man was restored. 2 whole years passed. And he was still locked up. Go ahead.
That Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river.
Verse 14.
Verse 14. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and brought him hastily out of the dungeon. And he shaved himself to change his raiment, and came in unto Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph.
Verse 41.
Verse 41. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, see, I have set you over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand and put it on Joseph's head, and arrayed him in vesture of fine linen, put a gold chain on his neck, and he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had. And they cried before him, bowed the knee, and he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt.
So eventually, Joseph was made ruler over the land of Egypt. But mind you, when he first had this dream, he was 17 years old, right? It's like they say, like we read in that scripture, that Submit yourself unto the Most High so he can exalt you in due time. In due time. Even though Joseph had this dream, he had the dream that that the sun and the moon and the stars bowed down to him. So he knew greatness was there, right? The potential for greatness was there. Let me just maintain my faith in the Most High. The potential for greatness is here, right? However, he was betrayed by his own brothers, thrown in the pit, sold into slavery, falsely accused, thrown into prison. All that happened, and he never turned his back on the Most High. He never went the other way. All these things happened to him, even though he didn't get into the mode where it was like, man, I ain't supposed to be here. This ain't supposed to be like this. Well, I'm saying, this is what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, he didn't get in that mode to be like, yeah, exactly, to give up. To give up. That's what I mean. So when you know that you got the, because we already have to understand that we all have that same potential to be great, right? But we have to submit to the Most High, like the scriptures say, and allow the Most High to do the exalting, right? To put us up there. And don't get weary in well-doing, and allow things to happen in due time. It's going to happen. You follow what I'm saying? In due time, things are going to happen. So we're dealing with certain principles here. First things first. When the burden is before you, first things first is to do what? Go to the Most High, period. Go to the Most High, right? And then once you go to the Most High, just force it yourself, right? No? Once you go to the Most High, what do? You be patient and allow the Most High to work on your behalf. And it's going to happen. And what all this boiled down to is really faith, right? If you really believe what's here, and I would hope that you really believe what's here, it's about faith. Now, we're going to hit that later. Let's go to Psalms 81 and verse 5. Psalms 81, verse 5.
Psalms of Elohim, 81, verse 5. This he ordained in Joseph for a testimony when he went out through the land of Egypt, where I heard a language that I understood not. I removed his shoulder from the burden.
I did what?
I removed his shoulder from the burden.
So that burden that Joseph was faced with when he went down into Egypt was removed by the Most High. Joseph didn't do it himself, even though his hand prospered, but his hand prospered because the same thing how we keep reading. But Yah was with Joseph. But Yah was with Joseph. That's the reason why he prospered in his doing, right? The Most High removed that burden off of him. Go ahead.
His hands were delivered from the pots. You called in trouble, and I delivered you. I answered you in the secret place of thunder. I proved you at the waters of Meribah.
That's good.
Salah.
That's good. Psalm 68 and 19.
Psalm 68, verse 19. Increase be the master, who daily load us with benefits, even to Elohim of our salvation. Salah.
So, in the Hallelujah scriptures, that same verse read like this. Blessed be Yahuwah. Day by day, he bears our burden, the El of our deliverance. Salah. Understanding that the burdens that you saddle with on a daily basis is bared by the Most High. As long as you're in a place of submission, Once you get into a place where you gonna force things and you gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. You have to be in a place of submission to be in the will of the Most High in order for Him to bear your burdens. You have to be within the will of the Most High, not the will, but the will, right? Psalms 55:22.
Psalms, the Telahim, chapter 55, at verse 22. Cast your burden upon Yahuwah, and he shall sustain you. He shall never suffer the righteous to be moved.
Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 5. Because I want y'all to keep on to drive this home. Because, like I said, life is happening. It's happening all around us. We're dealing with issues constantly. But the burdens that we have, we're supposed to give it unto the Most High. And just kind of just fall back. Let the Most High handle these things that you're dealing with, that you feel like you can't overcome. Because you can't overcome them on your own. You need them.
Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5. Trust in Yahuwah with all your heart.
Kind of trust in Yahuwah.
Trust in Yahuwah with all your heart.
Just a little bit.
All your heart.
With all your heart. Like it's more, like you got to understand, it's more than just, it's literally with all your heart. Like you got to have a faith that you like when you trust in somebody, right, that they're going to get a job done, right? That's like you could tell them, I need you to do this, and walk away. You ain't got to keep calling them on the phone. Hey, did you do that part? Hey, what about this part? Hey, what did you finish yet? No, I trust that you're going to get the job done because I trust you, right? So when you trust in the Most High with all your heart, you ain't got to keep going back and checking. You done trust him. You done told him already. You done laid the burden down. You done cast the burden off. And just trust him to do it. Stop sticking your nose in it. Just trust him to handle it. He's telling you he's going to work on your behalf. Trust him with all your heart. So the same trust that you got in this flesh and bone man, this flesh and bone woman that don't let you down, that's trustworthy enough to where they don't let you down, how much more trust should you have in the Most High? Keep on. Verse 6.
Trust in Yahuwah with all your heart.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
And lean not unto your own understanding.
And do what?
Lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways.
In some of your ways.
In all your ways. Acknowledge him.
And what are you going to do?
And he shall direct your path.
Psalms 37:3.
Psalms chapter 37 at verse 3. Trust in Yahuwah and do good, so shall you dwell in the land, and truly you shall be fed.
Read that again.
Trust in Yahuwah and do good, so shall you dwell in the land, and truly you shall be fed. Delight yourself also in Yahuwah, and he shall give you of the desires of your heart.
He shall do what?
He shall give you of the desires of your heart. Commit your ways to Yahuwah.
Do what?
Commit your ways to Yahuwah.
So that submission that we're talking about, commit your ways unto the Most High, right? You know how they say, well, you know that's just how he is. You know he got them ways about it. Commit your ways to the Most High. Go ahead.
Commit your way unto Yahuwah. Trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. He shall bring forth your righteousness as the light, and your judgment as the noonday.
So, like I said, trust. When they say commit your ways, we even start getting into that our own self, right? To where somebody will ask you to do something that's reasonable, right? And you will even say, well, I ain't like that. I don't. If you truly following this, then sometimes you got to be like that. Because you supposed to commit your ways means you follow what the Most High say do, and you got to kind of step out of yourself and stop doing you to do Him, right? One more scripture, Isaiah 8:17.
Isaiah chapter 8, verse 17. And I will wait upon Yahuwah that hide his face from the house of Jacob, and I will look for him. Behold, I and the children whom Yahuwah hath given me are for signs and for wonders in Israel.
That's good. So I wanted to touch that for two reasons, right? For the in due time part of it, right? Being patient, right? And the other thing is, you get people who don't believe in the New Testament. They don't believe in Mashiach as it's written, right, in the New Testament, right? And they'll say things like, y'all waiting on JC, or y'all waiting on, but this is not something that's new. The children of Israel always had to wait on the Most High, period. It was when they stepped out and tried to do things on their own, it's when stuff always went left. They always had to wait. So I wanted to touch that. I read it. I came across that scripture earlier when I was doing my reading, and I felt like that needed to be said for whatever reason, because people would get into that mode where they feel like, oh, you trusting it. No, we always have to wait, right? We always waiting on the Most High in every situation. So it ain't nothing new. You can see that all throughout the law and the prophets, right? I mean, we was in Egypt for how many years? For how many years doing labor? Centuries. You know what I'm saying? Until the Most High came and had to do his thing. But no, they didn't pack up and leave on their own. But anyhow, so we have any questions or any comments based on
Love it, hate it, say it,
Say, you love it, you hate it. Don't do it no more. Teach like that again. What we got? Questions, concerns? What's the title?
Title? Yeah, what was the title? Will y'all give you more than you can bear?
Go ahead, sister.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The sister was saying it takes patience, and that's 100% true. 100% true.
Did y'all use that adversity?
Anybody else? Huh?
I got some too, but I already feel like speaking.
You might know what you're doing. One more check. Did y'all use his adversity?
So anybody know any place where somebody's patience, they lost their patience and therefore they lost their weight? We did a lesson on patience. Who else? Samson? Solomon?
Sister said Saul. Moses.
Who else? Moses.
Sarah.
Abraham is the great example, right? Anybody know what happened with them? How they lost their patience and exactly through him losing his patience, Ishmael is born, right? Remember, y'all told him that you're going to have a son by Sarah, and that's going to be your heir. Well, they was 75 at the time, so they got to be 99, and Sarah was like 90. They was like, well, he's taking too long, right? He's taking too long, so they took it upon themselves, like we read the scripture in Proverbs 3 and 5. Trust in Yahuwah with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. Well, he took too long. But they say we're going to take it upon ourselves. Here, Abraham, take my handmaid. Get her. She going to bring forth you a son. Since they've done this, this become one of the chief enemies of the people. But if they didn't lose their patience, Ishmael wouldn't even exist to be putting you in slavery and doing all the things that they was doing. That's how profound a waiting on Yah to do what he say is. That's just one example of it.
Yeah. Patience. Especially after he told you he was going to do something. He told you he was going to do it. Directly. Anybody else? Okay. Yeah, it's a the Yah used adversity to develop Joseph's reliance on him. I don't see why.
Furnace of affliction, bring you through, to have you shine like gold. And you got to go through these different things to bring forth your character.
But you can see that's why I go all the way back to that 1 Corinthians joint, because it was too much for Joseph to do on his own. The Most High did everything. But absolutely. You know without the Most High, it wouldn't have happened.
What did we do with that first?
Profound joint.
I was listening in the car. I heard you say 1 Corinthians.
1 Corinthians 10 and 13. All right, let's go ahead and pray out.
Profound joint. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. We got to preach out of me.
You don't need to learn. I don't know if I want it. All right, so I don't know if y'all, if you've been watching online, so we always do the Our Father prayer at the end in Hebrew. So that's what we'll be reciting in here. Father Yah, we thank you for the word that went forth, Father. We pray and ask, Father, that you would just continue to open up our eyes and our hearts, Father, so that we can have a heart to trust you, Father, so that we can ultimately put our faith in you, Father, knowing that you will guide our steps and direct our path, Father. That we will trust in you in all things and lean not into our own understanding, Father, but in all our ways acknowledge you. So, Father, we pray that you would give us the ability, Father, to let go and allow you to work and exalt us in your time, Father, and not be so anxious for things to happen in our time, but be patient and allow you to do your perfect work. We understand that perfection takes time. And we pray that we would just continue to allow you to perfect us, Father, as we grow in this walk. We pray and ask, Father, that your Ruach will be with us, Father, that you would pour into us your word, Father, that we will be able to deliver it unto your people, Father. Those who may not know about your light, Father, we will be able to open up the eyes and the minds of your people, Father, and you will be with us, Father, every day. Father, all these things we pray and we give thanks. So be it. Abinu Shabbat Shemayim. Ikadosh. Shenka. Tavo. Makuka. Yease. Ratzonka. Ba'aretz. Kasher. Nasha. Bashemayim. Tain Lanu. Hayom. Likin. Ikan. Uzla. Lanu. Ashmatenu. God share. Zukim.
Zukim.
Anaknu.
Anaknu.
God share. Ashmu.
Ashmu.
Lanu.
Lanu.
Wa'ab.
Wa'ab.
Tabinu.
Tabinu.
Lede.
Lede.
Masa.
Masa.
Ki.
Ki.
In. Hasalanu.
Hasalanu.
Mi.
Mi.
Ara.
Ara.
Ki.
Ki.
Laka.
Laka.
Amam laka.
Hamad Laka.
Wahagibora.
Wahagibora.
Wahati Pare.
Wahati Pare.
Lome.
Lome.
Ulami.
Ulami.
So be.
So be.
Hallelujah.
We're sending the bag around for donations. Brother Martin was Sister Wanda.